Yippee-Ki-Yay, mother.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Welcome to Yippee-Ki-Yay Mother Podcast. Hey, everybody.
Hey!
Well, we got another fun one. We got 80 views so far on the last one, so we're going to go for it again, see if we can jack up the view count a little bit. We're doing another studio cage match. And then we'll do a round of what you watch. You know, just because I did that, well, no clock on this one. I'll let you guys talk, but try to keep it succinct if you can. I know it's hard. Chris, what do we got on this studio cage match?
Well, we have 1999 and 1998's Hollywood take on reality television. In the Truman Show from 98, starring Jim Carrey, directed by Peter Weir, and EdTV, directed by Ron Howard, starring Mathew McConaughey.
Studio cage match.
There can be only one.
All right, and your dog is very excited about this.
Yes, she is really into this idea. She lives in a cage, so it's a big deal for her.
Yeah. Kind of like Truman and Ed, kind of caged up a little bit in the studio cage match, and very thematic. So,
it's essentially with kind of in the late 90s and the rise of reality television, obviously what you've got here is a case of the studios kind of turning their eye toward it, right? How can they do a version of it? And what? 1 second, please. Sorry.
I don't understand why people don't watch these versions.
I wonder too, right? You know, between the dogs and the
phones.
And the fact that I'm wearing pants.
Dishwashers.
And Sean's camera's
Sean's not wearing pants.
And your camera's out of focus.
Wholesome Sean isn't wearing pants.
That's good.
Anyway.
Am I in focus better now?
A little bit.
The two films kind of came out, unlike last week's conversation where there was a serious personal vendetta going on when two movies were made. This one actually seems to be a case of just two people had a similar idea at the same time. And when EdTV went into production after The Truman Show, they didn't really think it was going to be that big a deal because theirs was going to be a straight comedy, while The Truman Show was really billed as a drama. Billed so much as a drama that Jim Carrey, whose average ticket price at the time or average salary for a movie was $20 million, actually took an $8 million pay cut and only got paid $12 million to do The Truman Show because nobody wanted to pay him $20 million to make a movie that was going to be somewhat serious. Obviously, the two
like the Cable Guy.
Exactly. The Cable Guy's really good, though. I actually really like the Cable Guy. But the main difference between these two is you have one is trying to be extremely realistic, which is EdTV, and it's about a camera crew that literally just follows around kind of a ne'er-do-well guy, slacker, who doesn't have a lot of direction in Mathew McConaughey.
Works at a video store.
Exactly. And loves Smokey and the Bandit. And which really, who doesn't?
Burton T. Reynolds Jr.
Exactly. And while the other one, The Truman Show, on the other hand, takes a very fantastical look at something of where they're taping a man's life and he has no idea he's on TV. And
the same premise where everybody outside, what's that?
From birth. He was literally adopted by a company, a corporation, and this is the entire reason. He has no idea he's on TV. Everything has changed. Interestingly enough, one of the things I found interesting was that, believe it or not, EdTV has a budget that's almost $20 million higher than The Truman Show.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't make it back.
No, EdTV was a straight flop, while The Truman Show was a bit of a success. It was actually a real success.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, The Truman Show was originally supposed to be more of a sci-fi thriller set in New York. It was actually going to be directed originally by Brian De Palma.
Oh.
I would have liked to have seen that version.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one of the reasons why Ron Howard was like, oh, this is a drama. This is more of a thriller. While ours is going to be a straight comedy, while they didn't think there was going to be much going on there. But in actuality, I think what happened is the Truman Show was pretty well regarded, made a lot of money. And I think by the time that EdTV came out, like 6 or 7 months later, it felt like a cheap copy, even though they're very, very different films. I actually like EdTV more than the Truman Show. The Truman Show, I'm sorry, I don't think Jim Carrey had developed his dramatic chops enough by the time when he did this film. It was not I think he did more dramatic stuff later in his career, but I feel like this one, I never quite bought it. Like, the times that he tries to get dramatic, they felt a little flat to me. And maybe that was because of my expectations of him. While Mathew McConaughey really pulled off the kind of East Texas slacker that the whole EdTV thing, and I really I enjoyed that movie a great deal more than I did the Truman Show.
Would you say he was Days Ed and Confuse Ed? Sorry,
no,
I don't have kids, but I had a dad moment. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Right.
Exactly.
Thank you for that, Drew.
Precisely. So yeah, of these two films, it's like they take the same idea, two very different tacks. One was a success, one was a failure. In my opinion, it's one of those things where one is, and I think Sean used the word last week, pretentious. And it does feel like the Truman Show the Truman Show feels to me like, did you ever see the movie Robert Redford film Quiz Show?
Yeah.
Geritol scandal and everything. Sometimes Hollywood has this tendency to do a thing where Hollywood, because they're film and not TV, they like to point their finger at TV and kind of be like, TV, you're the rot in our country. You're the no good thing, right? When, let's be realistic, film puts out enough trash, or Hollywood puts out enough trash as well, that they really shouldn't point their finger at anybody. But I almost got that feeling when I was watching the Truman Show, when I rewatched it again last week, that there was a lot of kind of, the constant ads. It felt like they were being very, this is the terrible thing about television. This is why television is bad and things like that. So I've rambled on for like about 7 minutes. So what were your thoughts? Like, let me know. How many of you even watched them? Again,
We watched them.
You watched them both?
Truman.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen Truman before, but I really liked the Ed movie.
EdTV.
It was great.
I'm going to agree I'm agreeing Chris and Debbie on this one. I liked it much better than the Truman Show.
Yeah.
Is EdTV that great? No, it's not that great, but compared to the two of them and what they were trying to say, I think you're right. Truman Show was very pretentious, and EdTV was more grounded, and actually kind of was a look at what social media more than Truman was going to affect people. Because the Jenna Elfman, by the way, the comedy It Girl at the time in the 90s, she was supposed to be the next Lucille Ball, I think, that woman. You had Woody Harrelson, you had obviously McConaughey, who was great in everything.
And
this
was
before The Reconnaissance, right?
Martin Landau.
Landau was actually quite good in this.
Yeah. And
Dennis
let's not
Hopper?
forget Clint Howard.
Yeah, that's right.
Clint Howard was great with the hair.
Who was in my movie, Holy Man Undercover.
Oh,
and he was freaking hilarious.
He's in every Ron Howard
Was that the writing or was that him?
In the movie, can I say what he said about our script?
Please
He says,
do. You might
I like
as well.
to come in with a script that I could just throw strikes with. And this role was one.
Is that on the website? That quote?
That is on
Is that
not mine.
Is that a cricket reference? I don't get it.
I don't know.
He could throw wickets with it.
Yeah,
There you
wickets.
go. Okay.
But
No, so I
I
think
tell you what, the writing in this is by
Which
the
one?
comedy writing team of the 90s, who shockingly are seen to be inactive, as Babaloo Mandel and Lo Gans.
Yep.
They wrote Parenthood. They wrote a ton of films. They were great. If you look at like Ron Howard as a director's, prime period, it's when he was working with Babaloo Mandel and Lo Gans. They were great, and Ron Howard was a great interpreter of their material. And I don't see any real recent credits other than things that's based on their earlier work, which makes me assume that they're just being script doctors, or they're both dead, because there's no, they they were incredibly talented, high-paid writers. So they're probably polishing stuff
Sean,
now.
what kind of name is Babalu?
It's a Ricky Ricardo kind of a name.
Is it a guy or a girl?
It's a guy. It's a male name.
I
It
love,
ends with
I love
an
the way you
O.
ask him that
If it
question.
ended with an A, it'd probably be female.
What'd you say, Ralph?
I like the way you just stare right at the screen and ask him that question. That's good. And also, listen, Ellen DeGeneres. I'm going to say this. I thought she was adorable.
She's so funny.
Yeah, I thought she was
Forget
great.
how funny she was.
Out of these two films, I enjoyed EdTV way more than I enjoyed the concept and the execution of the Truman Show.
Well, you got
Although
Peter
I did
Weir,
like Ed Harris in the Truman Show, but
You got Peter Weir as directing. He's a serious director. And you had Nichol.
Yeah, Andrew Nichol wrote it.
Andrew Nichol, who's a serious screenwriter. So, I didn't realize it was possibly going to be a De Palma film. If it were a De Palma film, it probably would have been a lot cooler and a lot less pretentious.
Okay, so the Truman Show made $264 million.
Mhm.
EdTV, $35.2 million.
Yeah.
Right? And you said the budget for EdTV was bigger.
Was actually bigger. Yeah.
I'm shocked at that.
Yeah, the budget for EdTV, it's weird because it said it was $80 million, which doesn't make sense because there's not like anything special in there.
Probably the cast.
Well, that lost some
Probably
money.
the cast that was in it. I mean, there was a big
Cast.
cast.
That was a fantastic cast. That was a
It
lot
was
of
a
fun.
good cast,
Much better than Truman, I think.
Yeah. But I mean, really, how much do you really have to pay Dennis Hopper?
Well,
pay him
it was
some.
great
Sorry,
to see him
Reiner,
show
Martin
up.
Landau,
Yeah.
Elizabeth Hurley. I mean, there was a lot.
Yeah,
of
I mean,
Elizabeth Hurley's in there too.
For a small role.
yeah,
But,
a good one.
Yeah.
No,
So, but I think
No.
I think Truman Show was all on Jim Carrey's back. I think
Well,
that
wasn't Ed Harris
Yeah,
the
he
one who got
just
nominated
couldn't
for
pull
the
it
Oscar?
off.
he might
Did
have,
he get
but
nominated for
Jim
an Oscar
Carrey
for Best Supporting Actor?
maybe
Ed Harris?
he was good in that film.
I think he was
Yeah, he was
nominated.
great.
right. I don't think it was Oscar worthy.
No, well,
Oh,
who won? I don't know. What year was that? 98?
I think people wanted to reward that movie.
Well, but Carrey didn't get nominated, right?
No.
Or did he? No, he didn't. No, I know.
Jim
Well,
Carrey
you
was
gotta-
doing Jim Carrey with a slight serious twist.
Not in that movie.
Yeah,
I
he
think if
was.
he did more Jim Carrey stuff, it would have been better.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he did he kind of like throttled back on the Jim Carrey and occasionally tried to throw in something,
Yeah.
like serious, like, and I'm sorry, even like in the big final moment of that movie when he's like, "You never had a camera in my mind," that line falls so flat for me. Just his delivery. About the only really serious moment in the movie where I think he comes through is when he's talking to Laura Linney and he's like, "Why do you want to have a baby with me? You don't even like me, or you hate me," or something like that. To me, that felt very like he feels exhausted. He feels like,
Right.
something's wrong and why, but like, you're right. I mean, I think once he got involved, they had to Jim Carrey it up a bit or else like,
What's the point of having him? I mean, you have to.
yeah.
You have to. And that movie made me, I was cold. I was cold because everybody was deceiving him through the whole thing. Even the guy playing his best friend.
Yeah.
It's just all, and I know it's a metaphor about advertising, and it's the crassness of television. I get all that. And they did the same thing in EdTV. If you notice those ads, as they were getting more popular, getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, they were
on the
getting
screen.
bigger and bigger ads. Bigger.
So the ads were getting more interesting. You could see as it started, that movie was pretty smart. What Ron Howard was doing and fun, much more fun than the other one. But I was cold on the Truman Show. I was not cold with EdTV, but you got Woody Harrelson, you got McConaughey as brothers. They end up playing in True Detective together, right? So you're thinking about that history. And McConaughey is just, the guy is a charmer. That's all there is.
And Adam Goldberg.
Goldberg,
who was with them in Dazed and Confused.
Yeah. So I think, and it's surprising to see the difference in what they made. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. EdTV came out after, and everybody's like, well, they're just trying to do the Truman Show. What's the point of it?
Yeah. Hey, I want to tell one interview. I heard an interview with Adam Goldberg, and he was talking about Dazed and Confused and how they had the LA casting, and they were all very serious actors, and they were all talking to each other. They flew out on the same plane about, how important this film is going to be. It's going to be a star-making film. And then they get to Texas, and they hired this local bartender, Mathew McConaughey. you know, and it's sort of like he was still working at the bar when he's on the movies, because after the shoot, he goes, "Hey, come on by Saturday. I can get you some free drinks," you know. And they were just absolutely, he said they were absolutely appalled, because as they were watching, as it was going along, they realized he was just stealing the whole movie. You know, here's a guy that had, like, according to them, Goldberg, like, no real ambition to be an actor or anything, but he just had that, like, natural charisma. Which he shows in this film.
It comes through in EdTV. It comes through. Yeah. So it's a shame. John and Drew, you guys want to say anything?
Yeah, jump in.
I wasn't a big fan of either one of these movies. I didn't rewatch them because I've seen Truman. I saw EdTV once. Truman to me was should have been a Twilight Zone episode and not a full-length movie. There wasn't enough story there to sustain it. He was okay. Jim Carrey was okay, but that was his prestige picture. He was trying to move away from the stuff I love him in, Ace Ventura. The only reason why I would lean towards EdTV is Mathew McConaughey, obviously, but in reality, that is what reality TV has become. Not the Truman Show, EdTV. Yeah. So they were ahead of the time.
I felt it's more social media. I was thinking TikTok, Instagram.
You watch all these.
Well, the scene with Jenna Elfman where they're all ripping her to shreds about not being pretty enough for him and all that.
It was like the Housewives, Ralph. That's reality TV.
No, John. No, it's not entirely that. It is people reacting, commenting on somebody and making them get upset about how they look and feel. That's more TikTok, social media than Housewives. That's just two people.
Yeah, maybe, because if you watch all those reality TV shows, Andy Cohen's got his show afterwards, and all they do is talk about what happened on the show.
But you know what I'm saying. I mean, you get what I'm saying.
But anyway, that's why.
I tell you, on like Return to Amish, which I worked on, those people in the show, I was going to say the actors, I mean the people, they were getting upset, particularly this one couple. It's like, could you please not say mean things about us on social media? And I'm like, oh, darling, you just killed yourself.
Well, but also,
you're not supposed to be using electricity.
Yeah, you shouldn't even see.
This is 1999. This is early internet, too, right?
This
is early
the Amish
internet.
people don't believe in using electricity.
We forgot about Rob Reiner, too. He was funny as well.
Yes.
I thought that was great that we have, it's being directed by Ron Howard, who was a TV star and became a big director. And at the time, Rob Reiner was a giant director appearing, in this film too. So I thought. And
Ralph from Happy Days.
Donnie Most.
Yes, it was shocking to see him. Ralph's assistant.
So anyway, go ahead, John. Sorry, we got off.
No, that was it. That's my feeling on it.
Drew. You're muted, Drew. Drew, you're muted.
Can you hear me?
Got you now.
Now we can.
All right, there we go. I didn't realize that it might have been a De Palma film. Which is an interesting idea, especially because there's like this tantalizing possibility he would have never made Snake Eyes, which I think would be wonderful.
Oh, come on, that's not.
But it's funny because when these movies come out in pairs like this, there's always one that's better, and then the one that's worse. Everybody's like, it's so much worse than it is, when it's really not necessarily that much worse. And these movies are definitely different. I think like EdTV has the disadvantage. It's sort of a weird in between things. First of all, it's a remake of a French movie that nobody saw that was like 5 years older than that. It comes like this idea of filming someone's life. It's both late because MTV's The Real World has already been on for 8 or 10 years, but it's also early because Survivor blows up and reality TV becomes like an actual genre a year later. Also, by any standard, as far as its ambition, I think it's going to look slight next to The Truman Show, which was a very big prestige picture, obviously aiming for Oscars, things like that. And I mean, I really like both Peter Weir and Ron Howard. I think they both do, different kinds of movies, but especially Ron Howard. And for me, this was a miss, but I've always liked him as a filmmaker because he does different stuff. So for him to do like, this incredible drama like Apollo 13 and then do what's essentially like a light, sweet kind of little comedy like this, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. Also, keep in mind, EdTV came out in 1999. which is one of the greatest movie years.
Yeah, it's a tough
ever.
year for it to come
So
out,
if you
that's for
picked
sure.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but if you picked 5 comedies that came out in 1999, there's probably at least 4 that are a lot better and were more successful than EdTV. I'm a huge fan of the Truman Show. I've always liked that movie a lot. I love Peter Weir. I love Andrew Niccol. I really didn't like Gattaca, which Andrew Niccol wrote, because that whole movie made me feel like I was just like learning about Jude Law and Ethan Hawke's toenails and blood droplets and stuff. But he also did Lord of War, which was the Nicolas Cage, Jared Leto movie. Like, he's got a really interesting sensibility. Excuse me. And also, EdTV reminded me of another movie that I really liked. I don't know if you've seen it. I'm sure Chris has seen it. Man Bites Dog. It's the Belgian movie where the camera crew follows around a serial killer. Yeah. They follow around a serial killer.
I thought it was French.
And it's very, I mean, they have a really good time, like splitting up the camera and the sound guy and how that would be on the show. And so it's that kind of, just following somebody around. In that sense, EdTV felt real. And Truman Show, it's hard for me to say, like, it's fair to criticize it that it's not as real, since the whole thing is supposed to be artifice and Truman is supposed to grow up and think that that's all normal. That said, there's a little electric moment when I think it's that girl he wants to hang out with in high school, and they're going to get rid of her. And she's basically like, if you want to hang out with me right now. And we know that's the first time maybe ever that anybody's been honest with him about like what's going on and what's really controlling.
They went
him
off
and stuff
script.
like that. Yeah, and that was kind of like a neat moment. But I don't know. I mean, I really like Truman Show. I think EdTV is fine. I don't think it deserves the bad rap as that movie that wasn't as good or as successful as Truman Show. But I think it's also, for both of them, as I said, it's kind of an interesting stop when you look at the careers of both directors and the kinds of things that they've done. So,
not to mention Woody Harrelson too. What's that?
What's the name of that French film?
It's called, hold on, it's called Louis XIX, Le Roi des Ondes. And good luck finding it, because it's not streaming anywhere. It's not on disc. It's probably on somebody's VHS in the back of their closet in Marseille or something. So I don't know where you can watch it. You can find clips on YouTube, but most of them don't have subtitles. So if you don't speak French, that's not going to help you.
EdTV, it's not a great movie, but since we're comparing, we're battling these two, I'm just saying I liked EdTV a lot better than Truman Show.
EdTV did not stick with me at all. Truman Show stuck with me.
I understand.
I mean,
that.
part of it is because I didn't like it, so it stuck with me longer. And essentially, EdTV, I remembered the plot but forgot everything.
It's just
So
such
I was really surprised how funny and how much I liked it watching it this time.
Yeah, and
I'm
not
glad you had
having
the
seen it
opportunity
for
to revisit it.
not having seen it for so long, and to see people like Ellen DeGeneres in there, and frankly Jenna Elfman, and frankly Donnie Most, Ralph Malph from Happy Days. I forgot.
What are you looking at, you redheaded bastard?
Yeah, those exactly. And I forgot he was in Happy Days with Ron Howard, right? And of course Ron Howard's brother's always in it. I just enjoyed all those kind of elements that in 1999 I probably wouldn't have cared. It would have just meant nothing. But now in hindsight and all these years later, it was just fun to watch that. And it's more rewatchable to me than the Truman Show. The Truman Show to me is a slog.
You know what? The Truman Show was kind of mean to take this child and manipulate his life, and
somebody controlling,
John, you have a very good point when you say it is like reality TV. If you've ever seen The Housewives, I mean, it's a terrible thing how, they're
like the Truman Show, those are all ginned up for the audience. Sean knows that. I mean,
just for stupid.
Right.
Wait a minute.
Although I have to say, MILF Mansion looks pretty good.
Oh, I gotta see that. That's on my old network, TLC.
What is this MILF Mansion?
Here's how it works, Debbie. They bring 10 women on, and they're going to date 10 young guys. But what they don't tell them is those 10 young guys are sons of the 10 women.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Now, Debbie, just imagine if they did that with men and daughters. How
That
You
would
couldn't do it. Wouldn't work.
Why?
But this way it sounds great.
'Cause
Or it would be,
we're woke.
or it
That
would be a
never work.
successful, or it would be a successful French film. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to deal with that story.
So,
Yeah,
I
but-
mean, I think that
What
I
about
think
that Cougar movie you guys watched on?
Oh yeah,
Movies
1313. Yeah,
13
Cougar
Lane.
Cult. That's good stuff.
That's not quite the same.
No, it is not the same because that I imagine that MILF Island or whatever it's called actually has what is that?
MILF Island.
A budget.
Milk
budget.
Mansion.
Of mansion. Excuse me.
They actually, well, they had a mansion in
Milf Island better, to be honest.
666
I think
Cougar
that-
Lane.
What'd you
or
say,
whatever it
Chris?
was.
I said I would have liked. I think MILF Island sounds better. There's no
honestly,
alliteration.
I think it's MILF Mansion. I might be wrong.
MILF
but I
Island.
think it's
MILF Island
Mansion.
is probably a joke I'm not remembering to credit from 30 Rock or something. Like
Yeah,
it's just-
it might be.
Well, I
This-
think
yeah,
the
this is-
mansion is on an island. I
Oh,
think
there you
that's
go.
what it is.
There you
All
go.
right, so the battle.
Every
I mean,
MILF is an
Truman Show
island.
won this battle. Money
No,
wise,
In
it
real
just
life.
won this battle.
and
Prestige.
everything.
Money
Oscars
wise,
and all that.
monetarily.
Oh, yeah,
For
yeah,
me-
yeah.
Yeah, for me, EdTV
Yeah, me.
won my heart. Again, I forgot how much I liked Ellen DeGeneres until I saw this again. I thought she was great.
Well, her eyes weren't dead yet when she made this movie.
That
so.
she was very. Yeah, she looked good. She looked perky and alive, and you know.
That's
So,
That's good.
Yeah,
And
and
her
I'm gonna
humor
say-
was so sweet. I loved the sweetness of Ellen's humor.
well, even
you
that
know?
stupid thing where she gets on the phone and she's talking with her, and she my throat. I can't.
Yeah, I'm gonna make this quick because I can't keep talking like this.
Right, and how can you? I mean, Matthew McConaughey. I mean, what
Oh,
can you say?
great.
It is all there, and he's doing his best, Matthew. And
And I
have
love
him and
Woody
Woody
Harrelson's
Harrelson, his
book.
brothers. Yeah, the
My
book.
brother pissed on me. And then they go on what's his name? Mayer, the guy from HBO, Politically Incorrect.
Oh.
And he
Oh, yeah,
goes,
Bill Maher.
Bill
Bill
Maher.
Maher.
yeah,
Bill
Bill
Maher.
Maher goes, yeah,
book
we have
sucks.
your book here. I didn't read it because it sounds stupid.
Right. I liked. The one scene I loved is when they were going to fight, and they just look at each other and go, "Okay, we're good, right?" You know, there's no fight, there's nothing. Anyway, a lot of fun. But I was like, it was amazing how it just made me think of social media now, watching that film and how people react. So that's why I liked it better.
Great. Yeah, I mean, I'd have to say I liked EdTV better. I did like even the little kind of pop-up cameos from guys like Michael Moore, who's like,
Yeah.
who makes he makes a very salient point. He's like, you used to be on TV because you were famous. Now you're famous because you're on TV.
Yeah.
And while that was hardly a breakthrough idea at the time, even back in 1999, it was still
And those guys are all still around. You think of Michael Moore and Bill
Yeah.
Maher and that whole.
yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's wild. So, Chris, I wanted to bring this up because you didn't bring it up, but
Oh, geez.
McConaughey, his character he was a video store guy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I thought for sure that you'd be.
You
like,
said
would
that.
be the
You
big
brought
guy.
it up, Ralph.
I brought up, but I mean, I thought it would be more
But
important.
the
to
fact
Chris,
that I
but
was in
he was
when
a
this movie
Blockbuster
came
guy.
out, I was working at Blockbuster
Oh.
as a manager. Yes, when this film came out. Yeah, I obviously I love that part of the film. Where he's like, he's talking to these kids and trying to talk about movies and always, that was one of the favorite things I had to do. And when you'd have people come in and you could you'd suggest films to them, and sometimes
Was
did
it
you
like
curate?
Seinfeld? Did you have a shelf with Chris's picks?
Yeah, I was just
did.
gonna ask, did you curate? Yeah.
Yeah, we would do like our staff picks and stuff, and most of the time mine would be filled with stuff that most people didn't care for.
Of course, French films.
Did anyone
and,
ever send you the play button in a pendant form that you could wear around your neck? No, no one did that. Oh, that's
No,
too
it was
bad.
I had some I will say this though, I think
Oh, wait a minute. This is getting spicy.
I did tell Ralph this story once. True story. When I was at a Blockbuster, I was working the floor, and this woman asked me about the movie Red, Krzysztof Kieslowski's part 3 of the Three Colors. And I was like, she's like, is this movie any good? And I was like, yeah, I've actually seen it. It was my favorite film of last year. I was like, forget Forrest Gump, forget Pulp
Oh,
Fiction.
she's never coming back.
And I was like, this is the best movie I saw. She looks at it and she goes, is this subtitled? Does that mean I have to read it? And I knew I had lost when she said this to me. And I said, well, yeah, it's in French, but the subtitles, before you know it, you're just reading it and you don't even realize it. She puts it back and she literally looks over and she looks at me and she goes, what about Pumpkinhead 2?
I didn't see 2, but that first one
That's a good
was a
story.
fine motion picture.
That's
with
a good
Lance
story.
Henriksen.
And I was like, Hand to God, that is 100% true. I literally just turned around and walked away. I didn't even say like,
Oh my God.
normally I'm a pretty
Did
good
you say,
customer
yeah, but
service.
it's subtitled.
Pumpkinhead, that's good.
Yeah,
Yeah, Tarantino started in a video, but what are you going to do? Video. stars.
exactly.
All right.
It didn't quite
Listen,
work out for me like it did for him.
Let's spin. Want to try this one more week?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it. Maybe 2.
Oh, look at that. Wow. All right.
You gonna make it, John? You look a little.
Oh no, I'm fired up.
There are some films I would like to see again.
Yeah, I mean, there's some stinkers on here, but what the
Well,
heck?
before you spin, John,
Yeah,
we could
you're
do The
off.
Matrix, Existence, and The 13th Floor. Then you could watch 3 movies, and it could be like watching one Indian movie. Maybe you'd be more enthusiastic.
I think if it spins on something good, he'll be fine.
Yeah.
This is a good contrast.
What's the opposite of something good?
Oh, you haven't seen Deep Impact. Hang on.
I've never
spelled
seen
like
that
that.
version of Deep Impact.
How do you spell?
Yeah,
How do you
the one
spell
that's
Armageddon? And
I can't. I
Deep,
can't
that's the
spell.
Indian spelling.
What did I spell it wrong?
DEAP?
Whatever. You know what it is, okay? Deep.
Is that
look at that
Indian?
deep. Wow.
An
Somebody
E
is
on
the
Wyatt Earp,
spectrum.
too. So.
Oh, that's so funny.
You know, I just want to say, Deep Impact is Debbie's nickname for me.
Deep. Oh,
Jesus Christ.
almost makes me not want to do this anymore. I swear to God.
That's so
That
wholesome.
needed help, but
So
you should
gross.
go
That
This
is
is
another
really
way.
gross.
wholesome, Sean.
All right, I know they're spelled
No,
wrong,
her
but-
nickname for me is
Now-
Shallow Grave.
John, have you seen either one of these?
Yeah. Actually, I've never seen all of each of them.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never watched
Unbelievable. They
all
were
of them.
monster hits.
Yeah. Both of
Did
them
you
were-
stop
this is
watching
just-
Armageddon after the animal cracker scene? Because that's really where it peaked.
No, it just got a little too stupid for me, so I just stopped watching it.
Wait a minute. Did
Three
you say a
idiots is
little
great.
bit?
3 Idiots, 100% Armageddon too stupid.
Like, is
Amazing.
Armageddon,
That's what I love about films, man. I love
is
it.
Armageddon better than Deep Impact? And I go, I think Greenland is better than both of them. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Well,
Both
this
have some really horrible.
Wait, is it
stuff in
Deep
them.
Impact or DAP Impact? I'm not sure which one I've
I
got to watch.
think I might have been in my
There's one-
Indian mode. I think I might have been. I'd say I cut and pasted these, but obviously I did not.
I'm going to make a
It must have been
prediction.
late at night.
I bet you are.
Hey, I don't know if you guys
Armageddon.
know this, but I work a lot on these things. I'm very tired all the time. Okay.
Well,
So-
if I'm not mistaken, you mentioned on an earlier show that you watched cricket videos for 3 hours. Is that correct?
I did. I
Okay.
needed to learn
So
about cricket.
you got a little time.
That's
right?
going to be on my What'd You Watch. Speaking of which, let's do a round of What'd You Watch. Sean and Debbie.
We
Well,
watched that documentary on the making of the Indian movie Lagan
yes, which was
What's it called again?
Madness in the Desert.
Desert.
And it's on Netflix.
However, without Debbie, because she was asleep, I watched the new M. Night Shyamalan movie,
Cabin in the Woods or Cabin? Knock at the Cabin.
Knock at the Cabin.
Yeah, and
And man, hard to try to figure out what I thought of it, whether it was bad
or really bad?
or interesting but
Oh.
bad.
Oh,
You know, it's a couple with a child, you know, a gay couple with an adopted child, and 4 people come up and tell them, trying to be very nice about it, that if those 3 people, the couple and the child, if 2 of them don't choose to sacrifice one of them, the world's going to come to an end.
yeah.
But it had that same kind of M. Night acting you see with people like right in the camera, you know, kind of talking.
Not like The Happening acting, right? Not like that, but
Oh, strangely, just like.
oh no. And
But
Jonathan
this was
got-
definitely better than Old, which I had only recently
I
seen.
haven't
Yeah,
seen
well,
all.
that's not hard.
Yeah.
So would you? It's on Hulu or something. It's streaming on Peacock or one of them.
No, it's on Peacock.
Okay.
Also, I watched one of the HBO Fire documentary about the concert. I know
yeah.
you deep dived into those, Ralph.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. 2
What
years
a
ago.
documentary.
That was 2 years ago.
Monstrosity.
There's 2 of those. There's one on Hulu as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that
We're done.
Oh, nice. Good job, Drew.
So I think I've mentioned probably more than once, because you know me, when I like a movie, I get really excited about it. There's a Finnish movie called Sisu that's coming out.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
And Patton Oswalt tweeted something I want to read. He's really a voice of my generation, and I always want to hear him weigh in. And he's talking about how this is the right movie for us right now. And he says, Sisu is wall-to-wall Nazi shitbags getting ruined in the most graphic, painful, and deservedly violent ways possible, and it's exactly what America needs right now. Guarantee it'll make bank just for that, because it's what the people want. And I felt like he was like looking inside my soul. That's how excited I am about that movie. So I felt seen. Also, I watched two really odd shows, both on Prime. They're each 7-8 episodes. I did not expect to finish both of them in the last week and a half. One of them is Swarm, which is Donald Glover's new show. He did Atlanta, and it's basically about Beyonce's fans, known as the Hive, but it's a horror show, and they don't call her Beyonce. And at the beginning, they say this is not a work of fiction, and any similarity to real people is intended. So you can kind of read that however you want. It's like Atlanta. It's very creative. It's very sort of disorienting, and it's definitely surprising. The first episode, either you'll like it or you won't, and you can go from there. And then the other one we watched is called Class of '07, which is an Australian show, which is basically, it's like somebody wrote a show about a bunch of people getting together for their 10-year high school reunion at a Catholic girls' school, and also somebody wrote like Deep Impact and put them together into one series about a bunch of women at their high school reunion when the world floods. And it's funny and weird and very Australian, and I enjoyed it. So it was a good week for exploring weird.
Drew, I'm curious, what makes it very Australian?
The way that they talk about things, it's very Australian, sort of culture references, things like that. There's also one woman who's American, and her accent, it's really interesting. Her accent really stands out among all these Australian characters, and it's really annoying. So I don't know if that's how we are in the world, but it was I don't know, it's very, and you'll recognize
What's
some
it
of the
called
people
again?
in the show. It's called Class of '07. You'll recognize Juno Temple and some of the other people that are in it. And it's worth a watch. And each of these are like half hour, 40 minutes an episode. And I just started Succession. That's like an hour plus each one. That'll be fun. And I'm not going to say any spoilers with The Mandalorian. It's pretty fun so far. So finding a short show that you could just sort of chomp up like that was fun.
You mean it's not like a 4-hour movie from India?
It is if you watch it all at once, but no
I'm
subtitles.
waiting until The Mandalorian, all the episodes drop before I
There you
watch
go.
it.
They think they've
That's
had
your
4,
standard
so there'll
operating.
be 4
That's
more.
your
And then it's
standard.
Yeah, that is. I like to watch them all at once.
All right, nice. John, what do you got?
So I went to the movie theater and I saw John Wick 4.
I don't have to see it.
If you
now
like the
'cause did
John
that.
Wick movies, you're going to love this movie. No spoilers. I will not give any spoilers, but it's a long movie, so be prepared for that. I think it's 2 hours and 49 minutes.
like an Indian
it
movie.
is- Yeah, it is action packed. In fact, I loved it, and I think Keanu Reeves is amazing. I don't know. I think he bathes in virgin's blood because what he's able to do at his age just boggles my mind. Because he does 90% of his stunts. Some of the fights went on a little too long, where they got a little too repetitive. Because I went with my wife and a couple friends, and one who had never seen a John Wick movie. She liked it, but again, she thought it was long. Rose thought that it just got too repetitive. But there's one scene in particular where they go into this house, and there's like eight to 10 assassins after him, and the camera goes up above them, so you see each room, and it's done in one take. I would be dying to see the making of this to see how they shot that. But that looked like a video game, and it was incredible. And I think most people will find the conclusion, they'll be happy with the conclusion. I think they're talking about making spinoffs because this movie's making a lot of money. It's made more than the opening was bigger than any John Wick movie. And they definitely, like I said, if you like the first 3, they really amp it up. But I would say this to you. I think you would enjoy it more if you've seen the other 3 movies, because they definitely do things in this movie that if you're not familiar with the other 3, you're going to be a little bit lost. But I recommend it, and I definitely recommend going to see it in the theater.
Yeah, some
Excellent.
of my favorite reviewers, the Breakfast All Day, they review a lot of stuff that I watch. They were saying that the video game aspect is kind of what bothered them, and the fact that John Wick should be dead. 1,000 times over with all the stuff that he goes through in this one. Like, to suspend that much disbelief and just anything can happen kind of took them out of the film a little bit, and they were drifting, and they said it was too long. And it's a shame because the first one is so. It's all it is. But he's mad because of the dog.
As the movies progress, though, I don't disagree with that criticism, because there's a couple times in this movie where he takes a fall that he gets up from, and you heard groans in the audience. Like, what, are you kidding me?
Right.
So there is some truth to that, but it's also, it's a different universe.
Well, you're there for that.
Yeah, you know what to expect. Right. You know he's not going to,
It's too bad your comment. I have two questions about your video you put out. First of all, I know you deleted it, but that commenter gave away a big plot point. It was just like, what are you doing?
Did a little.
I even groaned at him. I go, come on, man.
I did a reaction as I walked out of the theater, and I said, I'm not going to give any spoilers. And somebody in the comment section gave up a pretty big spoiler. So I apologize for that, and I did.
And then, why does Rose walk so far in front of you while you're shooting?
Because she's embarrassed that I'm filming myself leaving the movie theater doing a reaction video.
I would like to get her reaction. I want to see her.
To do that for Debbie to be embarrassed.
No. I want to see Rose's opinion, but
she won't. Listen. Cocaine Bear. She was mortified that I did that.
Yeah. Well, that was a little weirder. No.
Got a lot of hits.
Yeah. Unlike our review, our review of the film.
Exactly.
Our walkouts get more. Exactly. Chris, what'd you watch other than your son's concert?
Other than his concert. I started watching a show on MGM Plus, which used to be Epix, called A Spy Among Friends. And it's based on a nonfiction book about a real life traitor to the British Secret Service named Kim Philby. He is a legendarily, he was a longtime traitor. He gave up thousands of secrets that probably cost hundreds of lives during the Cold War. It's very interesting. They obviously, and they're very it opens up and it basically says, hey, this is based on Ben McIntyre's nonfiction book, but we've basically added some stuff to make it a little bit more exciting. So if you like John le Carre's type of espionage stuff, I highly recommend it. It stars Guy Pearce and Damian Lewis.
I love both.
I saw that.
Yeah, so it is a high quality production.
Which one plays the traitor?
Guy Pearce plays Kim Philby. Oh. Mm-hmm. And it's funny because Kim Philby was the basis for the traitor in le Carre's Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Oh. He's basically even though it's funny because there were some other traitors in the British Secret Service at that time, and they are mentioned and they come up as characters because they escaped to the Soviet Union before Kim Philby did. And then it starts with him escaping, and then it's all post his escape, and there's a lot of flashbacks and stuff like that. But I highly recommend it. It's really good. Only the first 4 episodes are out. I find myself watching it as they come out, which it's funny because I know what you mean, John. Like sometimes you want to wait and just watch it all at once. But in The Strangest Thing these days, it feels like sometimes streaming services cancel things so quickly. I feel like if I'm not watching it, if I'm not watching it as it comes out, like they'll be like, oh, it's not getting good ratings or whatever, and give it the axe. Anyway, if you like that kind of real life espionage, it's terrific. It's A Spy Among Friends.
Nice. Drew mentioned it. The fourth season of Succession started Sunday night, and that's appointment television for me, like Sopranos was. I can't wait for that every Sunday night. It's a fantastic show. Sad it's going, but I'm sure it's going to be phenomenal. But the biggest thing, and these guys alluded to it, I watched Lagan and got obsessed with cricket and started watching videos on how cricket works, and then started watching videos on cricket matches, and specifically the Indian cricket matches, which are like wrestling. They're like WWE, the way the crowd cheers for guys as they come up, and men and women are playing it, and I don't think together. I think they got them, separated out. But
you got to keep them separated.
I got a suggestion to our viewers. Anybody who else is doing a podcast, if you want to learn how to play cricket, we'll challenge you to any cricket match.
What, are you insane? What are you doing?
Are you going to pay taxes for the next 3 years?
What is going on? You want to challenge another podcast, huh?
Yeah. so we
Hopefully
could-
they only got one person on the podcast and we can take them down that way.
No, we need
No.
a team.
I-
We're
I-
gonna-
Hopefully they get as many likes.
Cue it
on
up with
each
the
Hey,
video
Q
as
brothers.
Ralph,
possible.
since you're the expert on the cricket, how many players in a cricket?
11 fielders. You need 11 in the field and there's 2 batters.
So that would be
13.
13.
Right. 13. No, it's
I
11.
On the
No, it's
field.
11
On
per
each
team
side.
because
11 per
because
team.
only 11 are out when they're batting. No, when they're fielding and then the 2 batters.
Oh.
So anyway, yeah, so I became obsessed with cricket, started watching the Professional Cricket League, and they're amazing. Now, you know, they don't go on for 5 days like the old cricket matches used to. They cut them down to like 3 hours. But I think they're a blast. They're a blast to watch. Now that I know what the hell is going on, it's just a lot of fun, and all the strategy that goes on is amazing.
Is this
That was-
indoor cricket or outdoor cricket?
No, it's outdoor. Big
Okay.
round stadiums.
Is
And
there
even
a
the
cricket
stadiums have
match
different.
going on up there anywhere in the vicinity of Baltimore?
I know Maria's got a lot of Indian students, and she says they play cricket. So I don't know where they're playing it, but they're playing
There
it.
are
up there
youth
somewhere.
leagues around here.
We should go film that.
So it's fun. It's a fun game. Now that I know what the hell's going on. So anyway, all right. So next week we're doing Armageddon and Deep
And day app
Impact.
Day app impact.
Yeah.
So enjoy those films. I don't have to watch either because I've watched them both many times.
Oh, but
You've
you don't
watched
want to
Deep
miss
Impact
out
many
again.
times?
Yeah,
Animal crackers, I'm ready.
Oh.
yeah, it's a good film. Armageddon is fun.
This was
I forget.
this
Is
was the
Armageddon Michael
combo.
Bay or is that?
Yes,
That's Michael Bay.
It
Of
is
course
Michael
it
Bay?
is. A lot of
And it's also
explosions.
in the Criterion collection. So
Just as long as Bruce
prestige.
Willis doesn't die at the end, I don't care.
He's dead through the whole movie. Actually, he sees dead people.
He sees dead people.
Disaster.
How's Ben Affleck's acting? Is he good at that?
He's good
He's
as
solid
Ben
back
Affleck
then. He
can
was
be.
really solid back then.
As good as he
You
was in
got
Pearl
me
Harbor.
solid.
So,
All right. Well, listen. We
Liv
appreciate you
Tyler's
guys.
in there too. With
We
Ben, so
appreciate the
That's when we
80
took
to
her
100
serious.
people that watch our show. So please continue to
it's
subscribe.
funny. It's going down.
Smash the like button.
We started at 120, and
And,
now it's going down.
Share this because you don't get this
It's
in
quality.
any other place.
This is
I'm just
quality.
telling you right now.
Most
I mean, we're-
people would not submit themselves to watching Armageddon.
We're challenging
Deep
people to
impact.
cricket
I
matches.
don't think
Okay,
all of
this
us
is
are
where we're
either,
at
so.
right now in this journey of
Yeah.
ours.
Yeah. Just
We should put Nicolas Cage
I bet
up
we could
there.
kick the ass of the Eye of the Duck people at cricket.
oh,
if
no
only because
doubt.
there's more of
One
us.
of
No
them is
doubt. I'm gonna.
English,
I put that challenge right up there. I agree with you. They seem
Yeah.
very book smart.
Yeah. but look at me. I got the heft.
Let's just try to top 80 on the last one. Let's get to 81, 82, and we'll feel good about ourselves. I'll feel good about us. But
And let's try to get at least 6 likes, okay, everybody?
oh, that's true. That's the other. That's the other
Listen,
thing.
I like it every time, so it's not me.
I hit it as soon as I see it.
It is not me. I post them,
okay.
so I'm the first one.
I hit it every chance I can.
I know you do, but what about the like
no,
button?
God Almighty! Stop with that.
All right.
Oh my
Another
God. All right,
thick
everybody
impact
have a
joke.
good week if you
Yep.
can. I just
Thanks
threw up
again
a
Yeah.
for
little in my
being
mouth.
flexible, everybody. I really
Oh,
appreciate it.
No
please,
worries.
we're more flexible than you would ever know.